Hello fellow YoraHomers. Welcome to the installation video for the 1 meter Y-axis upgrade for the YoraHome 6550. This is a pretty straightforward install. It does not require much for tools. You're going to need either the Allen keys that came with your kit originally or a 4mm driver for M5 nuts, bolts rather, a pair of pliers or small vice grips, and then the smallest Allen key from your kit, because we have to remove the belts. So when you received your kit, it should have come with 2 lengths of 1 meter rail. It should have come with 2 belts, a little over 1 meter long, and it also should have come with a 2 meter stepper wire. I'm not gonna do an unboxing. I mean, I'm the one that makes these. So yeah, if you bought this, thank you. I actually made these kits. I'm the one that manufactures them. So if you watching this video, the kit that you're looking to install was made by me. But yeah, I don't need to do an unboxing for something I would be boxing. So yeah, this is what should have come. Alright, well, your first step is going to be to remove the wires from your gantry. So you're going to want to remove the laser wire. You're going to want to remove the stepper motor wire. You can leave the laser wire plugged into the controller if you want, but unplug both wires for X and Y. Also remove the wire from the stepper on the Y-axis. So that way all the wires have been removed and all we have is the laser power wire, which just kind of put out of the way. So that's step 1. Step 2 is to use you know what, you also need this Allen key or a M6. It's a 5mm, it's an M6 Allen. This is what came with the kit originally. You're going to want to use that to remove the feet, starting in the front. So that's 1 foot. And that's the other foot. Now gently let this down. It'll sit on the wheels of the gantry. That's fine. Use your small Allen key to loosen the belt tensioner from each side and remove it. Alright. And that should give you the ability to completely remove the gantry. So if you removed all the wires, the gantry should be free. Gently roll it forward, take it right off the machine. Now it is on wheels, so bear that in mind. Be very careful where you put it, it will roll. Alright, the next step is to remove both of these belts completely. It's easiest to just remove the rear feet because you'll need to do that to get at the belt tensioners. So if I remove this foot with the control board, this has the upgraded cover on it, but otherwise there's no difference. And then use the small Allen key to remove this tensioner. And that's one belt out. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're removing the foot. And then we can use the small Allen key to remove the belt tensioner. Okay. So that belt's out of the way. We're not going to need those anymore. They're too short. Alright, so our next step is to remove the Y-axis rails. So 4mm M5 driver, and you're going to remove or loosen really the screw that goes into the T-nut on these little brackets. Don't loosen the one that's connected to the X-axis, only the one that's connected to the double height 2040 rail. So loosen that up. If you can keep the nut on there, it makes this quicker. So that's one you should be able to then remove. We can do it from here. We're going to repeat the process for the other side. So this should be what you're looking at. All right. Just going to move some things out of the way. So this is our 2-meter cable. And these are our 2 belts. These are our two new rails. So we're going to place that where it belongs on this side. We're going to do the same for the other side. And what we will do is basically reassemble the frame. So make sure your T-nuts are where they belong. Line this up. If you've watched my installation video for the machine originally, this process is identical. You want to make sure it's square and lined up, and that it's square up here and lined up, and then tighten it down. Do the same on this side. I can come back and do the same here. Probably can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just lining it up. It goes in the top. Goes in the top slot, not the bottom. Again, this is just like the original machine. It's just longer rail. So, now you've got your bigger machine. Now, next thing you're going to want to do is take your longer belt and place it in the groove. The teeth go down. You do the same for the other side. And then we're basically reversing the process. We're going to install our tensioners in the back. So, now, I mean, I try to keep these within an inch or so of the end. They don't need to be right at the end. The gantry can't actually get that close, but usually you go within an inch or so of the end. And you can always adjust them later if they're not where you like them. Now the belts, I always cut them a little long. I need to leave enough to account for going over the wheels on the gears on these. So yeah, I always cut them a hair long to make sure you got plenty. So it's up to you once you assemble this if you want to trim them or not, but I always make sure you got plenty. Alright, so we've now tightened these rear ones. We can go ahead now and reattach the feet. So I'll start with the control board one. Now I had already removed the power and USB connections. You don't have to. It's easier to work on with them out of the way. And then you don't bump it and turn it on. Not that it'll hurt anything, but yeah, I mean, I would recommend pulling the wires out. But whatever, again, it's not a big deal. You'll likely have to move them anyway to get at these when you're taking it apart. Alright, so our back is basically back together now, which is what we want. Now, we're not doing any more work on the frame just yet because we need to make adjustments for the width of this rail with the gantry. So, I've already done it on this one, but I'm going to explain how you do it. It's very simple. Basically, with your pliers or your vice grips, you grab the nuts that are behind each of the wheels, and then you use, I think it's a 3mm, and you loosen all four, just enough so there's some give on these wheels. Loosen the same on this side. The top is actually where the adjustment can be made. These holes are actually a little rounded out, and I've explained this also in the installation or the assembly video for the 6550. You already have to make adjustments because there's slight variations between wheels and acrylic and rails, so there's a little bit of play in this hole, in the top hole. It's a little oval, goes up a little. You're probably going to need most of it for these rails. These rails actually are slightly different than the rails that came with the machine. The rails that come with the machine have this little kind of divot. These don't have it. So you need that extra play. If you loosen all the wheels and just kind of pull these up a little bit, that's your best bet. Leave them loose. Pull the belts out of the way. And then reinstall your gantry. And that's just, again, just like when you built it, you just line it up with the rails and then you slide it on. You want to make sure you don't go too far on one side or it'll kind of get out of square and it'll fight you. But once you get it lined up, it should just slide right on. Now, at this point, you can adjust the top. I mean, you're going to have to tighten all of them, but start with the bottom ones, tighten them up, and then basically work on these top two wheels and then tighten them down. But you want to make sure this is free. You want to make sure this is not hard to push. Again, this is no different than when the machine was built. But these are going to need to come up a bit. So That's probably the fiddliest part of this whole process, is just getting this gap right. But it will definitely fit. I haven't found one that didn't yet, and I've tested it on a few, so I have confidence that it will fit. But you will have to loosen these and just kind of mess with the gap. And again, what you want is so that it's free, nice and smooth, but where you cannot, there's no play this way. You don't want any movement if you rotate it like this, because that means there's a gap. I don't believe you're going to have that with this because it's really tight. So I think you'll be fine. The trick's actually going to be able to get it to go smooth. You're going to have to kind of play with this. But once you've gotten that adjusted and all these tightened, then you can go ahead and reinstall your belts, or the new belts. So the process to do that is really identical to when you built the machine. You lay them. The trick I use is I lay them in the track, and then I actually use the little Allen key to kind of get under it. If you can't, what you can actually do is bring it to the end. I've had some luck doing that, and then getting it to pop up. So if you hold the end and pop it up in the middle, I know you probably can't see it, then you can grab it. And then once it's there, you can kind of go a little further back. Sometimes using 2 Allen keys helps, but really, that's the trick. That's my trick. So that's my Tom tip for this one. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm screwing with these machines all the time as we're experimenting and developing new upgrades and modifications. So I actually spend far more time than I care to admit putting these machines together and taking them apart, because I'm just constantly tinkering. I have a number of these for various, wow, this is bent over and it's fighting me, for various purposes. So yeah. But again, the whole point here is to just get the belt where it belongs, and then you're going to want to adjust the tension on it, just like I've spoken to in the installation video. So you get that to the end, you install your tensioner. There should be plenty of belt, because like I said, I've cut these long. So you want to tension it, and I will say, just like when you're building the machine, you're going to want to go back and you're going to want to loosen this pulley here so that you can get it square. So I will throw that out there now. I'm not going to rehash that process. If you're not familiar with it, if you built the machine before my assembly video was made, just don't watch the full 2-hour video. It's pretty comprehensive, but very near the end of the video, because it's on YouTube, so you can just fast forward. But near the end of the video, I explain how to square the gantry. And you do that using this pulley. You loosen it, and then you bring it over and you measure, and you get at equal distances, and then you tighten this pulley. You can do it with both pulleys loose, but really, as long as you just leave this one loose, you can do it. So once you've gotten your belts installed and properly tensioned, go ahead and put the feet back on the machine. And once the feet are on the machine, the mechanical component of this installation is complete. Hang on, I got an air conditioner. Making noise. Alright, so when you finish with those feet on, mechanical installation is done. Now it's just wiring. This is actually very straightforward. So if you want to reconnect the laser wire, you can go ahead and do that. The short wire that was for the Y is not long enough. That's why you get a bigger, longer one in the kit. So you can put that in your wire stash. The wire that originally came with the machine and was used here for the x-axis, you're actually going to want to use that here on the Y. The new wire that comes with the upgrade is a smidge longer. Technically this wire would work, but you need the extra length there. This is a fixed length. That actually goes further on the diagonal. So it doesn't hurt to have the extra length on the laser assembly. So go ahead and plug those in. Plug them into the controller where they go. And then go ahead and turn your machine on and test it out. Yeah, you should be able to jog the machine all the way back and forward using this full length. We made no changes to the gantry, so your X shouldn't need any modifications. Whichever software you're using, whether it's Lightburn or Laser Gerbil, you'll need to update the machine size in them. I'm not going to cover that here either. This is just for mechanical installation. But it's pretty straightforward. If you set up your machine originally, it's the same deal. You just increase your Y. So, that's it. That's all there is to it. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to support, or feel free to visit the Facebook groups, YoraHome Owners Group. I'm very active there and happy to answer any questions you might have. Hope you enjoy the upgrade, and thanks again for picking it up. Have fun.
Jungle.